All right, the Detroit Lions had a signing, and it wasn't a rookie. So they just added another player, so that leaves 2 open spots on the 90-man roster. Now, players can go if you believe that the 15 UDFAs are actually the 15 UDFAs. So we still have a couple more spots on the 90-man roster, which is a great thing. But they came out and they had a signing at a position of what would have been need before. Now it seems more like a luxury, but you can't have enough bodies on the interior. You flat out can't. And now that we had a few positions left, it was time to go out and sign some veterans. So what they went out and they signed veteran defensive tackle Kyle Peko. All right, Peko. What the heck-o? I'm sorry. I don't know what that was. So dumb. Sometimes I'm just so dumb. I say things out loud, and then I realize you all hear it. I'm not just alone in this office, all right? I'm not alone here because there's this microphone that's on. So anyways, with all that being said, this is kind of a bigger deal because he's going to reunite with the Detroit Lions defensive line coach, Terrell Williams. That's a good thing. This is not a massive signing where it's like he's going to come in and be a starter. I think this is more of an insurance and more of a luxury. So let's talk about who he is and kind of what his role on this team could be. First, what you need to know is that he's 31 years old. All right. He will be, at least before the season begins. Most recently, he started 10 games for the Titans last year after a previous 1-year stint with the Titans in 2021. That's important because of that connection. He's 6'1", he's 305 pounds, and he is basically going to be in here to be a run stuffer. Like, that is what his job is. He has 2 career sacks. I mean, he has played in 42 games, and he's started 12 games. That's not a lot going on there. All right, but I wanted to take a look at who he is and kind of where he fits into this scheme. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's not like I've studied the tape on this guy. So basically, up until last year, he's been about the same player. All right, but for a guy who's 30 years old right now and will be 31 when the season starts, he has very little snap counts on him. In fact, by far the highest snap count he had was last year. He had 342 snaps, and that produced his worst season as a professional football player. So that's more than double the snap count. The previous high was 157 with Tennessee. That was actually a pretty good year in 2021. So he's had 2 stints there. He clearly likes this defensive line coach. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. But he's also a guy who's going to understand what is needed. He was drafted in 2016. He played 2 seasons for Denver, didn't play a snap in 2018. Then in 2019, played for Denver and Buffalo, and then he's been bouncing around since then. Didn't play a snap in 2020, but he did in 2021, 2022, and 2023 are by far the most he's played. So even though he's older, this is a guy who's found a way to hang around the league. He's a vet, and he's actually playing some of his best football because he's getting the most run now that he ever has had. Kind of an interesting thing to think about. All right? Again, he's not going to wow you with the numbers or anything like that. He's a big body to be putting in the middle. So I wanted to go ahead and take a look at where we're at on this position. All right, let's look at where we're at. So you have our clear starters, DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil. We know that. We know that. All right, then you have Levi Onwuzurike, and the writing keeps going more and more on the wall that he's on his way out or he's going to be a practice squad player. But I don't think he's going to make it to the practice squad because I think another team's going to pick him up. And then, so really what I look at on the defensive tackle room, you want 4, maybe 5 of them. I look at Reader, McNeil, Broderick Martin isn't going anywhere. He's making this team. And then you have kind of these 3 guys that are going to be going for one spot. It's Mekhi Wingo. He's on the team. All right. Tyson Alualu and Kyle Peko. And I think the question you have to ask yourself is, Alualu still going to be around? I mean, dude's old. All right, very old. And is Kyle Peko going to replace that? To me, Kyle Peko is Broderick Martin insurance. That's what he is to me. He is a big body, and he's more insurance than that, and I'll explain it in a second. Broderick Martin was selected. Broderick Martin was drafted because of his just flat-out massiveness as a human. He's 6'5", 330 pounds. And the hope is that he could become just a phenomenal run-stopping defensive tackle. He did not develop super quickly. We knew it was going to be a project. We knew it was going to be at least a 1, if not 2 or 3 year project to get him there coming out of Western Kentucky. So this year they feel like he wasn't going to quite be ready. So they brought in DJ Reader, who's 6'3", 335 pounds. Another big man that's going to be a good run-stuffing defensive tackle. Now, you have your Aleem McNeils, who's thinned down. All right, he can play all over on the defensive interior. Then you have guys like Mekhi Wingo, who are going to be more of a pass rushing specialist. To be completely honest with you, he can hold his ground well in the run game, but he doesn't have huge weight. So when you look at all the players that are on this team, Kyle Peko to me says insurance for 2 things. 1, Broderick Martin isn't ready. If he's not ready, you now have a veteran presence who can hold down the fort. All right? He can hold down the fort. I think it's that simple. Number 2, if DJ Reader isn't physically ready right out of the gate, or he needs a little bit of rest as we're entering in the season because he's ramping up into it, Kyle Peko is the guy who can come in there, give you 5, 10 snaps a game. All right, legitimately 5 to 10 snaps a game. That's what it would be. And it's not going to hurt you. All right, it's not going to necessarily help you, but it's not going to hurt you either. So I really like kind of that idea for who he is and what he can bring. And don't you love that the Detroit Lions are now at this place where, sure, maybe it's a little more boring in the offseason, and maybe you have to be an even bigger fan to come in here and listen to me making a video about Kyle Peko, a 31-year-old defensive tackle, instead of making a video about a guy who's coming in to be a starter. Here's the thing that I have to tell you. If I made this video last year with this player, or the year before with this player, we'd be talking about him coming in, and the video would be titled something along the lines of, did the Detroit Lions just find their next starter? Like, that would be my title. Whereas now, I don't know what my title is going to be. All right, Detroit Lions just made a smart move. Detroit Lions just needed depth. Detroit Lions signed a smart veteran, a wily vet, whatever. Like all those can be titles. It doesn't really matter. Maybe the title is Detroit Lions get depth with Peko. I don't know. So there's a lot of things. I would rather be doing this because that means our team's better. And I don't want people to forget about the depth that this team has, because Peko's one of those veteran guys that would have been coming in because he's like, no, I want to play. That's what he was for Tennessee last year, because they're not good. So just wanted to throw that out there. And hope you like them. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it. We'll see you on the next one.